bit?
Can you talk again? I'm trying to make sure my Bluetooth. Can you talk again? I'm trying to make sure my Bluetooth speakers are working. So this past weekend, last night specifically, I was out with my sister listening to some music. We ended up doing karaoke at these people's house, and she decided to drive me home because I had had some drinks. And I woke up this morning and realized that I don't know their address or have their phone number, and we're not on Facebook or social media, and I didn't know their last name. So I had this realization of like, am I ever going to get my car back?
Holy cow! How do you do that? You drink that much?
I had some drinks. It was a fun night. We were out till 4, we were over there till 4:15, and so yeah. When I woke up and realized I had no car, I couldn't fall back asleep, as you can imagine, because I had lots of worry.
That's insane, Ashley.
Trying to like find them on Facebook, like I think their last name starts with a D. It doesn't. So I'm like searching like first names like D, and thankfully friend of a friend knows them, gave me the last name. I was able to like look them up on Facebook and find it. But yeah, I was a little bit stressed out there for a little bit.
It sounds like it. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I would do.
You just cross your fingers and hope for the best. Just living my best life over here.
I see it. But you have your car now, right? That's the important part.
I do. Well, I had lunch plans at noon, and so I'm like, I'm going to either have to figure out where these people live and Uber to their house, or I'm going to have to Uber to my lunch plans and then figure out my car later. But luckily, the message came in I found the girl. She messaged me the address just in time. My noon plans, I pulled up at 11:57, so it all worked out perfectly.
Awesome. That's great. You got your car back.
Yep. It was an adventure. Living my best life in my 40s. I feel like it's better late than never.
Oh, yes. Yes. Better late than never for sure.
Yeah. How was your weekend? You do anything fun?
No, Ashley, I took the weekend and I completely relaxed. That's all I did.
That's nice. That was me today. I ended up taking a 3-hour nap, as you can imagine.
Nice.
Far from the crowded room, you played my heartstrings. What could I do? Caught by the light in you, the prospect of something new, too good to be true. beautiful symphony, no time to deceive. Now all the love has gone. We traded our innocence, tried to stay strong. Wild as the breeze, addicted to love. I couldn't stop. With you beside me, it's never enough. Pandora's box.
Hey, welcome to Tangled Heart Strings. I'm so glad you guys came back to join us.
Yes,
We're
we're so glad to be here.
yeah, we're going to be talking about some really good topics today. So we all know someone, or maybe you have experienced it. The person that you love and has told you that they love you in return and has committed to you starts liking social media posts and doesn't tell you about it. And is that where the cheating starts, guys? What do you think, Ashley? Do you think that's where it starts?
Yeah, I think that is definitely a step toward breaking trust. And when trust is broken, like how do you rebuild it? And I think that the way that you rebuild it is through open communication and being comfortable being on the defense because, in general, I'm like, don't be defensive, right? Like just communicate. But if you have done something to break trust with your partner, whether it's liking a bunch of girls in bikinis on social media or, your ex-girlfriend or your ex-boyfriend, like if you've done something to break that trust and you decide that you want to rebuild with your spouse, you have to know, or your partner, you have to know that now they're watching what you're doing. And it's almost like they're looking for you to do things wrong because they want to rebuild the trust, but it's been broken. And so you have to kind of know if you've broken trust, it's going to take a lot of time to rebuild.
Right. And how can we prevent that in the beginning? So when we create these relationships that we've told each other that we love each other, why are we not saying, hey, I saw this hot chick or maybe I saw this hot guy on social media and I followed him today and I liked a few of his videos. When you do that evening check-in with each other. Or, it just makes sense to address it in the beginning before you even like the person's post or even before you start following somebody. Be like, hey, I saw this person, I liked their post, and maybe it wasn't because they were hot, but they are. And you like their content, not necessarily their looks, but you just like their content. I don't see a problem with it, and I don't have a problem with it within my relationship, and he doesn't have a problem with it with me. So I know it brings a lot of turmoil within relationships, but I think that we can address the problem in the beginning, and then it's not there to begin with. It doesn't come around.
I do think that there are people who wouldn't be able to have that conversation or handle it. There are some women that if a man said, "Hey, by the way, I saw there's this therapist that I like to follow, or there's this workout gym person, and I'm following her, and just so you know, like she's really hot. That's not why I'm following her." There are still a lot of women and men that would be insecure being on the other side of that conversation and be like, well, no, I don't want you following that. I don't want you liking that. And then that can lead into other discussions of why do you have this insecurity? Why do you feel that way? Why do you care if they're following somebody who happens to be hot that's posting gym content or whatever?
See, this is where we're going to differ a little bit, because my theory behind that is that's an insecurity within yourself, and then you're pushing it out onto your partner.
Yeah.
And I don't see the point in that, because then you're just going to cause problems. You need to be okay with it, especially if it's not because she has big boobs or he's got a six-pack and I don't. People are different, and that's okay. That person that has committed to you and has said that I love you and is going to be there with you, where do they sleep at night? Honestly, where do they sleep at night? Are you guys arguing every day, or is this the only reason that you're arguing? This is the only reason that you're arguing, social media is so big right now. You cannot get angry over a liked post or a liked picture. It becomes a problem when there are DMs, and then the comments, if they're saying, "Ooh, you're hot, let's go out," that's different. But if it's just a like or a follow, social media is so big right now, we cannot get upset over those things anymore. It's
Yeah.
not the early 2000s when social media is just coming around and we've got our top 8. It's everybody has social media. Everybody uses it. Everybody uses it for cooking. Everybody uses it for finding auto parts, or maybe it's a hot mechanic that he's following, but she's got really good advice to fix your car and he's learning how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Looks have nothing to do with it. He's learning a new skill, so you don't have to spend money somewhere else. So, I mean, really, why are we getting upset about it?
Right. And I agree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. But whether it's right or wrong, there will be people who are not comfortable when when their partner brings that conversation to them. And that's where I was saying, like, it reveals an insecurity in them that they need to get down to the root of. And I think a lot of the time when people are insecure in their relationship, they're afraid that their person is going to leave, a person who's never broken trust, right? They think that that person is checking out the automotive repair guy on Facebook or something. It's rooted in, I'm not confident and secure in myself. Therefore, I'm not confident and secure in my relationship. And so it's still good for that conversation to be initiated regardless of how the person's going to receive it, because it's either going to keep them on the same page, like you're saying, or it's going to reveal where they're not on the same page, and the insecure person can identify that and try to work through that.
And hopefully they do, because then it becomes a problem, and then it can end relationships. And because they like a social media post, I don't see that being okay to end a relationship at all.
Yeah. And I know people who aren't on social media at all because they think social media is the problem and that social media leads to cheating. But social media isn't the problem, it's just the tool. If a person is going to cheat, they're going to cheat on you whether they have social media or not. They're going to cheat on you with somebody at the bar, or flirt with, the guy at the grocery store or whatever. Like, if somebody is determined to be disrespectful to their relationship, they're going to do it. Social media is not the cause. It's just what they can use.
I agree with you, because I don't think that social media causes cheating either. I think it's just an outlet and an easier way to make it happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it. If that person, it's just, that person really doesn't love you, in my opinion. Because if they love you,
they say they do.
never have ever thought about it to begin with.
Yeah. Like maybe they have a warm and fuzzy feeling, but they're certainly not. Love is not just a feeling, it's also an action. They're not loving you with their actions if they're disrespecting your relationship.
So what if you're not okay? You're not okay with them doing it. You've said, this is my end all. I cannot go along and be okay with you liking this person's post or liking multiple people's posts. Or I don't like that you follow so many people, or I don't like you have Snapchat. I think you need to delete it. And if you don't delete it, I'm leaving.
For me, I think
Ultimatum.
I think ultimatums ultimately show where priorities are. And there are people who will say, I don't want you having Snapchat, or I don't want you being on social media, or whatever. And it might be a deal breaker for them. And that's where people just have to know where their priorities are. If I'm given an ultimatum, I have to know, okay, well, do I love and value my partner and understand why this is so important to them? Um, and am I willing to get rid of Snapchat to be with my partner? Or is my partner just being an insecure, controlling asshole? And I haven't done anything wrong. And no, I'm not going to give up, this app or this whatever. Um, and I'm going to choose to walk away. But what happens is nobody wants to walk away because walking away is scary. So they just stay in the relationship. They keep butting heads because they can't come to a determination. And it just keeps being tense. So it's like, if they give you an ultimatum and you don't want to do what they say, you leave. Like, plain and
Right.
simple.
Now, we're going to address something else because we talk about it a little bit. And everybody thinks it's an addiction, and I don't think it's an addiction. So, what if your spouse, your loved one, the person that sleeps next to you at night, what if they have an addiction to explicit material? Is that a deal breaker? Should it be a deal breaker? Is that an outlet for them to release stress? You have to think about those things too when you have an issue with it, because they're sleeping next to you at night. It's okay if they go into the bathroom and spend 10 minutes with themselves before they come lay next to you, because maybe they need that extra and they're not letting you know because they're embarrassed about it. So when it comes to the explicit material addiction, I don't ever call it that. I call it an outlet because it's a stress reliever. I use it a lot and it's okay. And I allow my husband to use it whenever he feels like it. And I never have a problem with it because sometimes I don't want to. And that gives me a little bit of a break, or sometimes he doesn't want to, and that'll give him a little bit of a break. So, even though you have a problem with it, maybe you should reevaluate that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think that's where the open communication comes in again. Cause like in that example, he doesn't want to tell, or they don't want to tell their partner because they're embarrassed, when they could just initiate that conversation like, hey, I'm into some stuff that you don't know that I'm into. Um, are you into this? Are you interested? And it could be something that they explore together. But a lot of the times when one partner is not comfortable with the other partner looking at explicit material, it's again rooted in an insecurity.
Right.
Like, especially women, like, oh, you don't think I'm pretty enough. You don't think I'm skinny enough. You just want to look at those girls. And it's really not about that. But
No,
there
some
are a lot of,
girls are bigger girls, or they're smaller girls, or they look nothing like you, and that's okay.
yeah, your partner's not with you because of your body. Your
Right.
partner's with you because of who you are. And so it's like this can lead to more discussions around insecurity. Oh, my battery's going to die. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm going to address some comments.
Yeah.
Peter says why people forget that people used to cheat even even in the time when there was no way to communicate. That is true. They would walk down the street and just grab somebody's hand. I agree with you. If someone wants to cheat on you, they'll cheat on you even on Mars. I agree, Herman. Absolutely. Elizabeth says, how
Oh, we lost Mia. I think she'll be back in a minute though. Yeah, we have a comment from Elizabeth. To you, how does the emotion work? It gets really easy to give up on a relationship, and unfortunately, it won't expand the comment. I can't see the rest of it. Um, so if you want to, Elizabeth, maybe throw the second half of that comment in back in the comments, because I don't know why. Usually we can expand to see the whole thing. Um, but I do know that when when there is cheating, like we talked about, like cheating means different things to different people. So for some people, cheating is only if you sleep with someone. Like you can mess around, you can do whatever. It's not the norm, but there are people like whatever. There are some people who have open relationships and you can literally have sex with other people without them there. And that would not be considered cheating as long as you don't get your heart involved. And I know couples that have had open relationships and it was only considered cheating once emotions got involved. Then you have couples who think that, um, the explicit material we were discussing, that is cheating because you're looking lustfully at another person. Um, and there's just so many definitions. I've known people who, um, if the girl is friendly at all to a man, he takes it as flirting and he takes that as cheating. So, welcome back, Mia.
So sorry, I have no idea what happened. Like Chrome just disappeared.
Oh, oh no. But yeah, I just was saying like cheating is different things to different people. Like some people,
Right.
your partner can go have sex with somebody else and it wouldn't be cheating as long as there's no emotions. Then other people, if you so much as look in a guy's direction, they're like, well, you shouldn't be looking at him. And then it all of a sudden is an issue.
Right.
So it's kind of like you need to define. I've heard a therapist say you should define upfront what is considered cheating at the beginning of a relationship so that everybody's on the same page.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Because it does mean different things to different people. And even though you've committed to this person, you don't know what their reasons are. You should ask. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and if they consider something cheating that you don't, and you can ask like why do you feel that way? Where does that come from? Like that also opens up discussion and allows you to get to know them on a deeper level and understand what has brought them to where they are now.
Right. So you guys, we've we've decided that we're going to stay, that we're going to go ahead and be okay with everything. How do we move forward? How do we continue and build that trust back? It maybe you haven't lost it and you just want to get closer. How do we move forward?
I want to hear from you guys in the comments if anyone has ever been on either side of this. You don't have to necessarily share if you were the cheater or if you were cheated on. Or if you were in a situation like somebody liking things on social media. But we'd love to hear from you how you guys have navigated that. I know I've been in a situation like that, and it really does come down to being open to, like I said, being on the defense, knowing that things are going to be questioned and like under a magnascope. This magnascope, is that the microscope? Magnifying glass. Like that's not a word. Um,
I like that. I'm going to use
yeah,
it.
magnascope. But yeah, just knowing that it's going to take what trust that can be broken in a split second, it can take months or years to rebuild.
It can take decades sometimes.
Mhm.
Zach, you were the one who was cheated on? And how did you decide that it was time to go? Because I know that you guys are no longer together. What made you make that final decision like this is it? If you don't mind sharing. If you don't want to get personal, that's okay too. You don't have to comment back. I promise. I don't want you to share anything you're uncomfortable with when you guys are on here. But I love for you guys to share, and we can share your stories with everybody else, and we can learn from everyone's happy times and sad times.
Well, and it's funny because not communicating, not having that open communication is often what leads to cheating happening.
Right.
Um, I know of another situation that's very close to me where cheating took place because one person's needs went unmet for years. And this person had asked their partner over and over for years to meet their needs. And I need more from you in this, and I need more connection. And it just fell on deaf ears. And eventually that person just stopped asking and wasn't even looking to cheat, wasn't trying to do anything wrong, just ended up falling for someone outside of the relationship through like a friendship. And I think that happens a lot is like our needs go unmet, we don't communicate them. And when we should maybe say, set an expectation of if this need is not met, I am going to leave. We don't do that. We stay because it's comfortable and it's convenient. And then we end up feeling like we need to get those needs met and then finding ourselves in a situation that we would have never wanted to be in.
But not everybody stays because it's comfortable and convenient. Some people stay because they have that love so deep for that person that that's their soulmate. They know that. They know that when they wake up every single morning, that person needs to be next to them in order for them to survive. So I don't think that people necessarily leave and cheat out of not loving you. I agree that it's the needs not met, but I don't agree that they only stay because it's comfortable and convenient. Yeah, some people do that because it is comfortable, it is convenient, they have kids, and they don't want to disrupt their lifestyle. But some of it is because that person is the person that they love, and they know that if they were to wake up the next morning and that person not be there, that life wouldn't be the same and life would not be okay.
Yeah. But to me, that leads to opening up an unhealthy self-esteem and codependency. If you can't be okay without another person, you're codependent on that other person. And that's something to look into too. Like if someone's willing to stay, it's different. Like somebody cheats on you and it was a mistake and they work through it and you want to repair. But there are people who get consistently cheated on and they just stay out of convenience. And I do know of another situation of a person who was consistently cheated on for years and he stayed with her because of what you're describing. Like he just loved her so deeply. But really, when you're allowing a person to take advantage of you like that, to put you last and continuously be running around, even though it's so hurtful to you and it brings you so much pain and anguish. But to me, I'm like, I will never be that codependent on another person. I don't care how much I love them. If I think that they're my soulmate and I love them from the deepest parts of my soul, but they're continuously cheating on me, there comes a point that I say, I need to love myself more. I need to love myself and have respect enough for myself to know that I am going to be okay and choose to be okay without that person. I think it just kind of depends. There's a lot of context around it.
There is a lot of context around it, but sometimes it's not a choice that you're willing to make. I mean, yeah, you were willing to make that choice, and that's great for you, but being codependent is not always a bad thing. Being
I'm going to
codependent,
100% disagree with you on that.
that's
Being
okay.
codependent is always a bad thing to me.
And that's because you're an independent person and
Yes,
you've
I
been
am.
able to be that person, but some people cannot be that person.
Yeah.
And we don't ever want to make people feel bad for being codependent because it's their personality. That's who they are. And that's okay to be that way. yes, it doesn't work for some people, and that's okay too. But I don't ever want to make people feel bad for being codependent. I'm codependent. I am 100% a codependent person. I am proud of that. I will not survive without my husband, and I know this.
But your husband's not toxic. And that's like, so someone asked the question, this is what I'm talking about is there are people who stay in toxic, abusive situations because of codependency. Like, so I guess I should take a step back and say, yes, I agree with you that codependency within a healthy relationship is a good thing
Right.
because you depend on each other and your partners and stuff. So yeah, let me rephrase.
Thank you.
Codependency
Because
in
it's not toxic
toxic,
here.
yes, sorry. Codependency in toxic relationships is never good because you have someone like the scenario that I described where they're constantly being shit on emotionally by their partner who is lying to them and gaslighting them and cheating on them and acting like they're the problem. And the person just stays because they say, well, but I love her and she's my soulmate, so I don't have a choice. I have to stay. Like, so that's what I'm talking about is, so sorry for, sorry for
Yeah.
acting like it was a total disagreement when I'm just talking about this
I
context.
was about to light you up, girlfriend, because and that's not true. Toxic
Like,
relationships are never good. And if it's not, and he is cheating all the time, and it's not something or a one-time thing, yes, I agree that is toxic. No, you shouldn't stay together. But codependency is okay sometimes.
yeah,
And
I
it's
mean,
not a bad thing.
yeah, and we all depend on relationships, right? Like, I'm very independent, but I still have a great relationship with my dad and my sisters and close friends that I turn to get me through stuff. So yes, I agree. But like it's good for you and your husband to be codependent because it's healthy. But if he was physically abusing you, if he was manipulating and gaslighting you and controlling you and isolating you from people, that codependency would no longer be good. It's good because it's within the context of your healthy relationship.
Right. Okay. Good thing you saved yourself there.
Like, my bad. Let me provide more context.
Yes, please do. Context is always important in those situations.
Yes.
Okay. I cannot say your first name, but I'm going to say your last name. Watson said
I think it's
stepping
Guillermo.
Guillermo. Okay. Stepping back on a relationship is the best way to save yourself from that downfall. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't, because we don't ever want to make a rash decision either. Is this something that happens one time and we haven't had that open communication and discussed it, and I'm just going to walk away? That's not good. So stepping out is not always good. In some situations where you've had that open communication, you have said all the things that you need to say, and you have voiced what is not going to be okay with you anymore. And I mean, stepping out then at that point is a decision that you have to make for yourself. Nobody, and I mean nobody, no therapist, nobody is going to be able to tell you what is going to be best for your mental health, for your physical health, and for your emotional health. Only you know that.
Yeah. And I do lean toward what Guillermo is saying, that I think that if you get to a point that you are cheating, and you can identify, okay, here are the needs that weren't being met, or here is what led me to that, and I need to figure myself out. I think there are definitely different ways it can be handled. There are times where the person's like, I'm going to stay with my partner. We're going to go to counseling together. We're going to figure this out. Or I'm going to stay with my partner and I'm going to go to counseling. But I think in some cases, it's like, okay, I have a lot of things that I need to work on myself. And so I do think that in a lot of cases, it's good to step out of the relationship, figure yourself out so that you're not dragging this other person along with you, trying to work on your own shit. And maybe they can be working on themselves too. And then you guys can come back together and be like, we've done so much growth. We've done so much of like figuring out who I am and what's important to me. I think it just depends on what feels right to you. Some people step out. Some people say, I'm completely done. I'm not going back to that ever again. I'm never going through that. And then other people stay together. I think people just really have to think about what's going to be best for me, what's going to be fair to me, because sometimes we're unfair to ourselves too. And we just think about what everybody else wants and needs and not our own needs.
Right. No, I agree there. I agree there. And I have a really good suggestion. If you're not comfortable with that open communication and you're better with, writing things down, I suggest getting a journal that both you and your partner can write in, and write the things down that matter to you during the day. If you're not willing to open up and talk about them, and use your voice, use your hands, do it through text messaging, download an app. I can't name any of them, but there are plenty of partner apps out there that you can use to communicate if you are uncomfortable communicating with your voice.
And that leads to, though, more self work that can be done, because if I'm not comfortable voicing my needs, that's something that you could work on in therapy is, and I think part of that comes down to the insecurity of how someone will respond, or maybe it's a fear of being vulnerable because you've been vulnerable before and you've gotten hurt. And so I still think there's opportunities for like self growth, but
Right.
I love that those tools exist to help people. Some people I think just don't know how to put into words what they're
Right.
feeling. And so I think that that's great that those are out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think they're great tools, especially if you feel like you're starting to have problems to use, or even start in the beginning of your relationship if you know there's going to be issues with voicing your concerns.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, so when you've gone through something like that, whether you choose to stay in the relationship or leave, either way, you want to better yourself, not only for yourself, but also for the relationships around you, whether that's your friendships, family, coworkers, or a romantic partner.
Understanding your needs and what you want, and being able to voice them, and telling the difference between your needs and your desires is going to make your relationship building and rebuilding yourself when you're reflecting on that, and looking and seeing what you really want.
So, something that you just said pointed or stuck out to me. You said needs and desires, understanding the difference. Can you dig into that a little bit more?
Your needs are what you need to feel emotionally, physically, and mentally okay. I'm not going to say 100%, but at least okay. Those are your needs. Those are the things that will let you live everyday life happily. Your desires are the ones that are going to make you super happy, the ones that are going to be like the best day ever, the best date night ever, the best family vacation ever. Those are going to be your desires, the things that you need. So think about how you buy your household things. So your needs are your food, your groceries, your laundry detergent because your clothes need to be cleaned, and then your soaps and everything that you need to wash yourself, and cleaning supplies for your home. So those are your needs for your home. And then you have your wants, that extra new nice light, or maybe it's a new speaker system or a television. Those are your desires. Those are things that you really, really want in your home. So you have to think about that with your emotional needs and desires, also your mental needs and desires, and even your physical needs and desires. Because physically, we need food and water every single day. Guess what else we need physically? Sunshine. We need sunshine to shine down on us physically to make us feel good about ourselves. We need that vitamin D. But we also need exercise every day too, and that's going to help make you feel better. I promise. The lazier I am, the worse I feel.
Me too. Sometimes it's hard to get up and move my body, but I always feel better after I do. And like with the needs and the wants, um, it's really interesting because I think that we learn what our needs are and what our wants are while we're in the context of a relationship. Like I remember when I was married, I didn't realize that words of affirmation was a need of mine, but he was not a words of affirmation person. So I went years without being like complimented, affirmed, validated. And that became an area that was really lacking for me that I didn't even know I needed because growing up, my dad just naturally did that. And so I just always had it and I didn't know that I needed it until I didn't have it anymore.
Right. No, I agree. But as we get older and we grow, and that's why it's so hard being young and in a relationship, and then you split up, and then 20 years later, you meet that person and you fall back in love with that person. It was the right person at the wrong time. So, I mean, it's our needs change over time. Our needs and our wants and our desires change over time as we grow into the person that we're becoming. We're never going to be the same person from day to day. I'm not the same person I was yesterday, and I'm definitely not going to be the same person I am right now tomorrow because I've learned new things today and I've progressed and I've learned things that I need to change about myself and things that I don't need to change about myself. So we're a different person each and every day. And our needs, our wants, and our desires are changing as we change daily. So it's very important that we have that open communication with our partners, our family, our friends. And sometimes we walk away from those people in our lives, and that's okay too. But I mean, our needs, wants, and desires change daily. And if we're not communicating those things, they cause problems. So the open communication, I think, is the biggest thing that this show is going to ever cover. Is we're going to hit on it within every episode because it is such a big thing. Whether you're at work, at home, anywhere you are, at the grocery store, you need to have open communication with everybody around you so that you feel safe, comfortable, happy, and healthy.
Yep. And I think part of that is open communication with yourself and being self aware and being willing to ask, am I willing to grow? Am I willing to admit I was wrong about this? Or I reacted in a way that I shouldn't have? Because sometimes we justify and say, well, they shouldn't have, and we want to put the blame on other people. But if we're really going to work on ourselves to become the best version of ourselves every day, we need to have that open line of communication with ourselves. What am I doing wrong? What am I apologizing? Can I improve in this area to meet my partner's needs? Or can I improve in this area just to be a better person as a whole?
I think this is where we need to find peace within our solitude and sit there by ourselves and reflect and be like, have I made somebody smile today? This is what I do. Have I made somebody smile today? Have I made somebody laugh today? Have I made myself smile today? Have I made myself laugh today? Have I enjoyed my family time? Have I enjoyed, and what can I do differently tomorrow to make my day, the bad things that happened in my day today, what can I do tomorrow to make that day better? It's so important to sit by yourself for 5-10 minutes every night, regardless of how chaotic your household is just sit by yourself 5 minutes. If you do things that most people don't do, step outside, do those things, and self-reflect at that time and be like, hey, what did I do today that I could do better tomorrow? What did I do today that maybe I shouldn't do tomorrow?
Yeah, and that all comes back to that self-reflection. Like you, Mia, have the willingness to grow and be better every day. And so I really think like that's great. We should ask ourselves, in what areas do I need to grow? And then go from there.
I think that is great. life can get busy. I know for sure life can get super busy sometimes. And not only do we need to self-reflect, we need to stop putting our romantic side on the back burner. We need to remember it's not only important for our mental health and our emotional health, it's important for our partner's mental health and their emotional health too, to take a moment and stop at the end of the day and be like, hey, how was your day? And how can I make your day tomorrow better? And this is how you can help me make my day better.
Yeah, I think that connecting with partners is so important. And I think that, like, let's talk about some ideas of ways that we can connect. So, if you had, this is for us and for you guys in the chat, if you had all the money in the world to plan like the most extravagant date of all time, what would your dream date look like? And then my follow-up question is always, is there a cheaper version of that that we can make happen? You know, if I can say my dream date would look like this, how do we make something like that um, in reality? Do you have a dream date, Mia?
I do. I do have a dream date, but I've already been on it.
Oh,
So it's always
that's wonderful.
stargazing. It's always stargazing.
I love that.
Yes.
For me, I would want to be like flown to Paris and like be up on the Eiffel Tower, um, just looking out, like people watching, and then eating dinner at some like French cafe in Paris. Like that would be like a dream for me. So
And
I'm like,
then,
okay, is there French cuisine somewhere nearby I can go to?
but not only do you have dream dates, you have everyday dates. So what do we do on our everyday dates? Let's plan something. Let's do the 2-2-2 method. And we kind of live by this. Life gets in the way sometimes, and that's okay. And we got to skip to the next week. But every 2 weeks, you're going out on a date. Every 2 months, you're going away for a weekend. And every 2 years, you're going away for a week.
I like that.
And that's without any extras. All the little extra things you got floating around in your homes. Those stay in the home. And it's just you and your partner.
Yeah. So when you say extras, you're talking about children,
Yes.
children and pets.
Children and pets. Well, I see a lot of people consider their pets their children. That's why I say extras.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to discredit pet parents either.
Yeah. Pet parents are parents
Pet
too.
parent too.
Yeah, and I like that extra tip though, because I think a lot of people use their children or their pets as a buffer
Oh yeah.
because they're really not comfortable alone with their partner. I even had a friend who wanted to take a weekend trip with her boyfriend, and he just insisted that the kids go. And at the time, she was like, I really wanted a weekend away, but like, how sweet that he loves my kids this much. But after
Oh,
she got out of the relationship, she looked back on it and she's like, he was afraid to be one on one with me for a weekend. He was afraid to have to actually talk to me and us have that time together. And he wanted the kids there as a buffer. So I think you're right. Like, if we're going to really connect with our partners, we need one on one time away from kids. There's nothing wrong with double dating and going out with friends and stuff like that, too. But I think that one on one time is so important. And so like there's so many different things that we can do. You can go to a movie, which I guess you're not super connecting because you're just watching a screen, but then you have that time talking about the movie and what you liked about it and stuff. But dinner, like going to the theater, to see some kind of show. What are some ideas that you think, Mia?
well, I like to take a step away from tech and go out stargazing, or maybe a picnic in a park, or cook a full meal together at night. Even if the kids are home at that point, it's okay. They're in bed. Go ahead and feed them first, stick them in the bedroom, and then cook a dinner for just you and your partner. Don't ever think that you have to step out of your home for those things either. Yeah, I mean, we all have some young parents in our lives and they all have baby food around. Blindfold your partner and feed them baby food and make them guess what it is.
I don't think I want to do that. Baby food does not smell good. I don't imagine it tastes good.
I mean, you can use the things in your home to create a date night and have somebody come over and grab the kiddos, grab the pets, and be like, we're going to take them to the park for a couple hours. You guys have your dinner, movie, whatever. You don't have to leave home to have fun and have a date night. We do a lot of in-home date nights, and we will close our bedroom door, and the kids know if the door is closed and we say date night, they don't come and they don't knock. But of course, my kids are older. If your kids are young, please don't do that. Please don't walk your children out of the bedroom if they are not old enough to fend
Of
for
course.
themselves.
Right.
But not only that, you can take your little vanilla nighttime and turn it a little bit spicy by just adding a blindfold and a feather. You don't have to get too spicy to begin with, and it's just that extra kick that you haven't tried before. If you have, great, I recommend it. I highly recommend it. But I mean, if it's a first step and you need to spice things up a little bit, you don't have to spice them up a lot. I promise. You could throw a pair of handcuffs if you're comfortable. Don't use them if you're not comfortable, because then you're going to get scared when you cannot unlock them properly. And we don't ever want you to be scared in that situation. And make sure that you are getting consent from your partner to use those things with them, because consent is number one in any sexual situation.
It's not going to be enjoyable for
Yeah.
your partner if they're uncomfortable with it or if they feel like they have to do this for you. Like, you want something that's going to be fun. And the thing with a blindfold is that when you can't see, all of your other senses are heightened. And so whether you do, I would not do the baby food. I have done fruit before, and that's really fun. But if you're doing the feather, if you're doing stuff in the bedroom, like, just know that everything is going to be heightened. But that all comes down to having a partner that you have built deep trust with. Because if you don't have trust, then that situation is going to be very uncomfortable.
Absolutely. But I mean, if you're sleeping with somebody to begin with and you're going to step away from that vanilla side, you should already be in that comfort zone, because you're discussing this and getting consent, and you're both agreeing to it before it even happens, before you even bring the blindfold and the feather or even the handcuffs out. You are discussing it before it happens, before those things come out, and you both have consented to it, because consent is so, 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 so important. And I stress that so much.
Yeah, and I think, like, in the bedroom or outside of the bedroom, another important thing is like celebrating successes, the little things. I've got a friend that if her kids like got a part in the musical, she would go to the store and get him a cake, and we're celebrating, you got the part. Like, made every little thing something that's worth celebrating. And I think that when we get into long-term relationships, we sort of, it all becomes every day and it becomes like mundane, but we've got to remember that those things are still really important. So, maybe getting a cake because your partner got a promotion or they closed a really big deal they were working on. Maybe like looking at, instead of just like a wedding anniversary date, maybe it's like, this is the anniversary of the day that we met, or this is the anniversary of the day that you asked me to be your girlfriend. Doing something special, even though you've been together 20 years, like, still doing little things to celebrate those things. And then also just because, like, I do know there are women who exist who don't like flowers, but there aren't very many of them. And so it's like, I know they exist. There aren't very many of them. But picking up flowers for no reason, or a candy, you're at the store and you see your partner's favorite candy and just grabbing it just because, it's like those little things can make such a big difference to make your partner feel loved.
Oh, absolutely. And that's gift giving.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we're gonna switch, and I'm gonna ask you guys a question. Do we create unattainable goals and rename them dreams? I believe that dreams are goals that we have yet to put a plan to. So there's still a goal. Let's focus on how we can make a dream an attainable goal. What do you guys think? What do you think, Ashley? Do you agree that dreams are goals that we just haven't put a plan of action to?
I've always thought of dreams as things that I will never attain. So yeah, I've thought that dreams are like, living the movie star life where I have a home in LA and a home in Paris. I love Paris. Um, but I think you're right. It's something that we want to have that we maybe don't believe that we could ever have. And so it feels like it's an unattainable thing, but you're right. It really is a goal. We just haven't put a plan in place. We just haven't taken any action towards it because it feels so unattainable.
Right. So when you're little, your parents ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you think, oh, I want to be a pop star or an astronaut or a doctor. You go to school and you have this plan of action to reach that goal of becoming that doctor, because that's what we're going to use for this. You put that plan of action in place, and your parents help you put that plan of action in place because you go to school, you get good grades, and you move forward into your next grade, and then you move on to college, and then you move on to your medical degree programs, whichever you choose. So that's a plan of action put in place that we don't ever acknowledge at all because we never think about that. So that's the example that I use the most when I tell people that dreams are just goals that we have not put a plan of action to. Because that dream of being a doctor is reached by those steps that our parents help us take in the beginning. And then we become that doctor. And the ones that do become that doctor and do become what they tell their parents they want to be when they're little know how to make a goal and how to make it happen. So they create those dream goals, but they have 4 to 5 goals in place that are smaller, easier to obtain, and easier to reach. But each one of those is a step in place to reach that unattainable dream goal. So anything that you dream of is possible. So I want to live on Mars. What do I do to get to Mars? Do you know what I'm saying? I just need to know what's my first step. Okay, I need to become an astronaut. So I need to contact NASA. So I do that. And then I move on from there and I go to each individual step. Okay, I've got to go to my training now, and then I have to go to my flight school, and then I have to, be approved by the doctors, and then I'm an astronaut. But I had all of these steps to get there, even though I know I can't be because I'm too old. But I mean, it's just, reaching for the stars and then creating smaller steps to get up to the stars in order to reach them.
Yeah, if somebody has that dream of being a doctor and they don't have those little goals in place, they're not going to ever become a doctor. I can say that I want to become a doctor, but I'm not going to medical school. And
Right.
medical school is an important required step to get me there. So I think you're right, like looking at what are the goals that I want to set, but also what are the things that are required? What are the non-negotiables that I have to do? In what order do I have to do them? Because, yeah, being a doctor is a perfect example, because you have to graduate high school and then you have to go to college, and there's certain programs and certain this and that. And all the while, the extras that you want to be doing would be networking and trying to get internships and meeting people who are already in the field and gaining an understanding. And so you have the non negotiables that must be done, but then you have the extras that are going to optimize things and just put you on a more direct path for success because of these other opportunities that you're creating for yourself through that.
And also, when you're making these goals and you think about these dreams and your dream goals, when you're thinking about those things, you also need to think about, is this dream goal going to be mentally okay for me? Is this dream goal going to be emotionally okay with me? Is this dream goal going to harm me in any way? So are we physically okay? And if all three of those things are met, your dream goal is possible. Because as long as you are happy doing and reaching for those goals and you're moving forward, as long as you're happy in those times, everything is going to be possible. If it ever makes you unhappy, change your goal. Please do. Because if you're not happy in reaching your goals, then your goals were never meant to be in the first place. Yes, at one point in your life, it was your dream goal, but it's okay to change your dream goals anytime. I could say that I want to be um, a reporter today, and then I can say tomorrow I want to be an actress, and I've just changed my goal. Yes, they're in the same field, but which one's going to make me happier? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be happy in everything that you're doing so you're not mentally and emotionally drained, because we don't ever want to be mentally and emotionally drained in life. Life's no fun that way, and life should be fun. We're only here for a short period of time. So it's important that we enjoy that short period as much as possible.
Yeah, one of my best friends is a fitness coach, and she talks about these gyms or these personal trainers that have like a cookie cutter approach for everybody, and everybody needs to do this. They need to do this amount of cardio, and these are the cardio things and whatever. And she's like, if you hate running, running should not be a part of your program. Like
Right.
if you're intimidated by weightlifting machines, you should not be doing weightlifting machines. And so
Right.
she's the same mindset, which is like, this is the ultimate goal, and there are steps to get you there, but the steps don't have to look the same for every single person. I hate running. I'm not going to run. I might walk. I might have a treadmill at my desk and get some steps during the day. I like Zumba. I'm naming things I don't do because I'm not working out at all right now. So don't anybody think that I'm all that, because I'm not. I'm very lazy, very tired, but I enjoy Zumba. And so, like, if there was a Zumba class that fit my schedule, that I had friends, I love doing things with friends. I would love to do cardio where I was dancing, you know? And so it's like, it doesn't have to look the same for every person. You have to find what you enjoy and do that. And you're still able to reach those goals, but make sure that you're not hating your life as you're doing it.
Yes, please don't. Please don't hate your life while you're doing it. And setting goals based on the way other people have done them is not okay either. Your goal needs to be your individual goal. You can't do your steps like anybody else can, I promise. And don't ever feel bad if you are set back, because sometimes life comes and happens and setbacks are okay. Just reevaluate that goal and be like, okay, now we need to add an extra step and it's going to take me a month, a year extra longer. And that's okay too, because getting upset at that moment is not going to work out for you, I promise. Being upset and having that goal in mind is just going to make you, well, maybe I can't do this. But you've already done 2 steps before that and you've gotten to that 3rd step. Why can't you get to that 4th step? Don't ever look and be like, well, I can't go any further. Yes, you can. You've reached this destination. Let's move forward and reach the next destination.
Yeah, and I think that when we're doing those things that we hate or that we dread, we end up failing because we don't want to do it.
Mhm.
And then we internalize this, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm a failure. Oh, this dream really is unattainable. And we start having negative self-talk. And then because we're down on ourselves about it, we're less likely to keep going toward it. And so we just give up. And so it's like, instead of choosing the things that you don't enjoy and end up failing, choose the things that you actually do enjoy. And you're more likely to be successful at those little things along the way. It may even take a little bit longer to meet that goal. If I hate running, but I commit to running for an hour every day, I might lose weight faster than just changing my diet and walking, but I will hate my life. So I would rather take a little longer to reach my goal and change my diet a little bit, find ways to eat healthy and walk and still get my cardio in and my steps and whatever. And I know that the goal might take a little longer, but I'm going to enjoy my life as I work toward that goal and I'll still reach the goal.
And when we're making goals, we need to make sure that we're writing them down. Buy a notebook, buy a journal, and make sure that you're writing them down. Stick it on your nightstand, stick it on your desk, stick it wherever you're going to see it every single day. And adjust your goals daily if you need to. Sometimes we need to make adjustments daily because life happens and things get in the way and we can't move forward until we've adjusted it. Because I mean, I didn't think I'd be here anytime. 5 years ago, would I think that I was on TikTok or having this opportunity presented to me to where I can come out here and help other people with creating goals and how to do that properly, to have them in a successful order and make things possible in other people's lives that I've made possible in my own through my journey of healing and becoming the person that I am today.
Yeah, I totally agree. I and I love the idea of reevaluating your goals daily because I may have a goal of I'm going to do a half hour of weight training every single day. And then there's a day that I wake up and I'm sick or I oversleep. And I might have to shift and say, okay, today I'm not going to be able to do a half hour. I don't have the time. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be committed in my eating or I'm going to drink water or whatever. So, but I think you're totally right. Writing that down, keeping that notebook front of mind, keeping the end goal in mind as we work through the little goals too.
Oh, absolutely. That end goal is the most important one. So that one needs to be in big, bold, black letters stating, this is my end goal. This is where I want to be in 5, 10 years. Because our end goal is never going to be at the end of the year that we make our goals.
Yep, that's perfect. Well, and in addition to these personal goals that we have, many of us are also working in some capacity, or we have some sort of passion project that we are a part of. So, how do we go about setting professional goals that align with our everyday life goals?
Yes, we're still talking about goals, but this time it's within the workplace. How do we set goals within work? Do we want a promotion? What are the steps that we need to take, the smaller goals? We need to be on time every day. That's a small goal to
Oh yeah.
make. And we need to be friendly to our coworkers, even when they make us mad. We need to be friendly with them. That's another small goal that you could have to work towards a promotion. You need to have so many hours of volunteer time in order to reach that promotion within your office because you're having holiday parties. So, sometimes we do need to kiss butt to get our promotions, and that's okay too.
I don't think it's always even kissing butt. I think there's a difference between insincere flattery or just telling people what you're thinking. If you do think somebody's doing a great job, just saying like, "Hey, the work that you did on that presentation was amazing. Like, thank you for doing that. Great job. Like, keep it up." Even if you're not somebody's boss, right? You're just recognizing good things in other people. That is a characteristic of a good leader anyway. So that's going to make you more likely to get that promotion because you're already showing leadership skills. So I think whether you call it kissing butt or not, I think that it's a great thing to do.
That's what society calls it. I call it doing my job and doing it properly.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing your job and you're doing it properly, it's possible to get that promotion. And I highly suggest if it's a promotion that you want and it's within a company that you're comfortable with and you're comfortable with your boss, go to your boss before you even decide on that promotion and be like, "Hey, I know that I've been late once, but I would really like to look at getting the promotion to manager. And what are the steps that I can take to get myself there? How can I make you guys trust me enough with the managerial position and I get that promotion? How can I get there?" So asking your boss is okay too. Asking your coworkers, I wouldn't suggest too much because then it becomes a monetary thing. And discussing a promotion with your coworkers is not always a good thing because they may be working towards that promotion too. They find out, and then they're going to cause that turmoil and cause problems and with you getting that promotion. And then it's going to become a competition. If we don't let our coworkers know, the promotions can never become a competition.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, um, just thinking in terms of doing things when you don't necessarily feel like it, like maybe being nice to that coworker that you aren't super crazy about or you feel like is competing with you. Um, it doesn't really matter if you feel like it or not. Like, this is a step in the process and this is something that you have to do. Or maybe you have a project that you're just really not looking forward to. You just don't want to do it and you keep putting it off. It's like, it doesn't matter if you feel like doing it. You've got to block off the time. So build into your calendar. This is what I do is I have all my meetings scheduled, between 8 and 5 on my work calendar. And then when I have openings, if I don't schedule something in there, sometimes I just piss that time away. I'm just working on emails, I'm replying to IMs, and like that's all important. But you have to block out time for those projects, especially the ones that you dread. Because if you get to the last minute and it's like due tomorrow and you're starting from scratch, it's not going to be high quality work. You're going to feel disappointed in yourself. You're going to look bad to, management or whoever that's for. So really like blocking out time to do things that you don't feel like. And something that I have to do sometimes too is I will get on really early at like 6 a.m. I used to try to get on at like 11 p.m., but I'm too tired and my brain is gone. But if you get on early in the morning, then there's no distractions. Nobody's emailing you, nobody's IMing you. Or I'll put myself on do not disturb and I'll minimize my email so I don't see a new email popping through. Nobody can IM me, or if they try to, I don't see it. And I just focus for 2 hours on this thing that I'm working on now. But I think really blocking out time for things you don't feel like doing is so important. And I'm talking to myself.
No, it's okay. No, I agree with you. Blocking out time to do things that are important, but there is something that I do need to address that you had mentioned is like when you have issues with your coworkers and not wanting to do it. This is what I tell my children, and I tell everybody this is whether or not you like somebody, it doesn't matter. You are your own person. You have your own opinions, and they have their own opinions. And just because they have different opinions and they do things differently doesn't mean that we have to treat them badly or we have to disrespect them. And just because they disrespect us doesn't mean we need to disrespect them. So in the workplace, regardless of how you feel about somebody, you're always super nice and you smile and ask them how their day is going.
Yeah, I really like that. Not necessarily treating people how they treat you, but
Exactly.
rising above. If they're treating you poorly, you say, I'm not going to stoop to that level. Especially if it's like in a meeting and other people see it. I've encountered people so rude in meetings that after the meeting, several people, including managers, reached out to me to see like how did you handle that and how did you keep your cool and oh my gosh, you're so good at dealing with her. It's like when somebody's snapping at me and being condescending, I can snap back and be condescending back. But when you take the high road and you choose not to meet them at that level, it makes you look so much better and you're not going to regret it. You might regret snapping back and saying everything that you're thinking, but you're not going to regret taking the high road and refusing to stoop to their level.
We just need to remember that what we say in our home is different than what we say outside in the world. And that's what I always tell everybody. I'm like, you can come home and I'm a totally different person and I will say totally different things than when you see me at the ball field or when you see me in an office setting. I'm a different person. Sometimes you have to change your personality for a minute out of your life to not just appease other people, but so you are not feeling mentally drained yourself. You can go home and you can bitch about them coworkers. I wouldn't suggest bitching to your partner about those coworkers, but I mean, you can listen to the radio and bitch on your way home in your car. You don't have to like people to be nice to them.
Yeah, that is definitely true. So thinking in terms of, okay, I know that I'm going to be respectful to the people around me, regardless of how I'm feeling. I know that I'm going to carve out time to do the things that I need to do. And so in terms of that long-term goal, just like we discussed with our personal goals, like write it down. Think about these things for yourself. Annual goal. What do I want to accomplish this year? Maybe there's one goal, maybe there's a number of goals. I work for a company that they require us to write annual goals. I used to be in positions where they just gave me what my goals were. And now I have to write my own, which like makes me like really think about, oh, like what do I want to do? So that's really important. Then also 5-year goal. Where do I want to be in 5 years? Do I still want to be in this position? And if so, how do I want it to look different? How do I want to grow this position? And where I want to be in 5 years, what do I need to do to prepare in the meantime? What are the little steps? Maybe year 1, I want to accomplish this. Year 2, I want to get to this next step. But I think it's really important, just like we're doing for our personal lives, is setting goals for ourselves, the little goals to get us to the dream.
I agree. We can have dream goals within our work goals also. I agree 100%.
Yes. So, how about you guys in the chat? Have you written down the goals to get you to that promotion that you want or whatever your next thing is? Because without goals, I guess the question is it even possible to achieve that dream?
Have you guys had this coworker issue? Have you had a coworker where you just everything they do, every little thing they do is to one up you, to make you look like the bad person And how can we alleviate that and getting in our way and reaching our goal? How can we do that and not cause a bigger problem?
Yeah, I think when a coworker undermines you, it makes you question your own value and your performance. And so there's like this whole aspect of, am I underperforming? And what are the effects on that? If I constantly feel like I'm underperforming or someone's trying to undermine me and make me look bad, I end up getting really burnout at work. I end up, um, something gets neglected. Sometimes it's someone. Like if we feel like we're not good enough, we're going to pour more of ourselves into our work. So then maybe you're letting go of house and responsibilities. Or I actually know a couple who ended up divorcing because one of them threw themselves into their work so much that their partner became just, they were emotionally unavailable to their partner, and their partner ended up meeting someone else and left for the other person. It's like when we become so obsessed with our jobs, it can have a real effect on our lives and the trajectory that we're on. So it could be you're neglecting someone or something important. Many times it leads to a lack of sleep because we are choosing to do work over choosing to take care of our bodies. That can affect our health. So, like having somebody undermine you can just have huger impacts than we ever thought. It's not just a comment that makes you frustrated. Like it can have a huge impact on your life overall when you have someone treating you that way.
Oh, absolutely. It can be so hard on your mental and emotional health. And sometimes even your mental and emotional health are so important, it can cause problems with your physical health. When you're so stressed out, you're going to have stomach issues, you're going to have headaches, you're not going to sleep. So having our mental, emotional, and physical health all aligned together is super important. And when we have somebody undermining us at work or one-upping us at work and keeping us from that promotion, we need to sit back and reevaluate that promotion. Is this fight worth it? Is this promotion worth it? Is this amount of money worth it? Why am I allowing this person to make me feel this way? Why am I allowing their words and their actions make me feel this way? What insecurities within myself can I fix? Am I doing my job correctly? Address your manager and be like, am I doing anything wrong? How can I do my job better? And if you're doing your job correctly and you are doing everything that you possibly can, and it is still mentally, physically, and emotionally draining you, you need to sit back and be like, is it worth it? Seriously, because our mental health and our physical health, they go hand in hand, and our emotional health and our mental health go hand in hand, and all three together, that's how we survive every single day. Because if one is not aligned, we're not okay.
Yeah, I work for an insurance company, and I had taken a position in our sales department, and it was actually a demotion from where I was at. And so I had worked my way up within one department, and this was 2 levels lower in another department. But I went ahead and took the job because I'm like, my goal is to move 4 levels up in that department. So I took a demotion, and I'm like, I've got this big long-term goal. It's going to be great. And as I saw how much those people worked in that position, I mean, they're on their cell phones at 6 a.m. till 11 p.m., answering work emails, texting brokers, like to get the job done. And I'm like, this is not a good work-life balance for me. And I sat down with my boss, who knew I was taking the demotion to eventually move up into that position. And I told her, I've got to let you know, I don't ever want to have that position because I see how much they work and I just don't think it works with my life. And this is what my boss told me. She said, because women were not in sales back in the day. And this woman retired like a few months later. And she said, I'm edging retirement, and I look back at my career, and as a woman in this field, I would have to be the first one there in the morning and the last one to leave at night. And I think about all of the sports and kids programs and events that I missed in order to get to where I am today. And I look back and I ask myself, was it worth it? And the answer is no, it wasn't. And she said, so good for you that you can see that now and make that decision that this isn't what you want for your life. And I know that you're going to move on to do other things. So I ended up leaving that position and I got promoted 4 levels higher in a different department, which is where I'm at now. And I don't work 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. I work 9 to 5, and I rarely think of work outside. And so it's like you realize these work goals don't actually fit with my everyday life. And you reevaluate and you say, okay, well, I can still be successful, but I'm going to take a different route than I was originally expecting.
Right. I mean, if we are creating goals and we are reaching those goals, we are making sure those goals are not within our professional field, are not going to affect our home life either. We don't want it to affect anything outside of work. So we want to make sure that our professional goals directly involve our job, what we need to do to get our next promotion or move forward in our job. They have nothing and should not have anything to do with what you are doing at home and what your everyday life goals are. So we're making sure that we're keeping those two things separate. But when we're checking in at night with our partners, we're also asking them how their day was going. So we're trying to keep our professional life and our home life separate, but then we sit down in the evening and we sit down to our family dinners, or maybe it's just a best friend that you're sitting down with and you're asking them, they don't want to talk about their workday, but you want to know what their workday's been like. So even though we're having stresses at work, we still need to open up with our partners and be like, hey, I've decided that I have this new goal and this is what my professional goal is going to be. And then your partner knows your goal. So he knows that you're, or she, or they know that you are going to be working towards this goal. So they already know that you are creating that extra time that you need to reach the goals. Because sometimes you're going to have to take time away from family to reach those professional goals and go to those extra meetings. But we need to make sure that we're not causing a problem at home when we set those professional goals, and that our partners know what we're doing.
Yeah, you want to make sure those professional goals actually fit in with your life. You're not neglecting the things and people, and you're not putting a greater burden on everyone else, which is, again, open communication with your partner.
We're always going to hit on open communication. Communication is so important in life, with your boss, with your partner, with your kids. How do they know when they're doing wrong? Because we voice that to them and we're not uncomfortable about that. So when somebody else is doing something wrong in your life, why are we uncomfortable telling others? But we can tell our kids when they're making us uncomfortable.
Mhm. And I think about like the work life balance of, like you're saying, not neglecting your family for your professional goals and whatnot. And I think of it like there are times that I'm like, kids, we're going to have a family dinner, but tonight I've got to get on my computer. I've got to get some work done. They understand that because most of the time when I shut that computer at 5 o'clock, it's their time. If there ever is a time that I do say I need to get on and work, it's going to be rare and it's going to be really important. So they're still going to understand that they are the priority and that I'm doing the best that I can. But at the end of the day, that I do still have other commitments that I need to get done. So openly communicating, even with your children, like, this is something really important. I'm sorry, we're going to have this amount of quality time, and then this amount of time I'm going to have to carve out to that. Like, them having that expectation instead of, maybe you just don't tell them and you get on your computer and they want to play a game and you tell them no. Well, now they're disappointed. But if you had that conversation up front, you've set the expectations.
Right. And setting expectations within the family and with your partners and with your job is so, so important. So making sure that we are writing down our goals and we are moving forward within to reach our dream goal. So we have 3 to 4 or 5, even 10 steps before that dream goal is okay too. So smaller goals are important to reach our dream goals, whether it be professional or at home. So make sure that we're making, and we can make family goals too. But guys, we're cutting our time a little bit into the next hour, but we will be back on February 16th at 9:30 here, and we're going to skip a couple weeks, but we will see you guys very, very soon. Thank you guys for
and sorry, I was just gonna say, and that's my birthday week. So join us to celebrate me as we celebrate love on a Valentine's Day episode.
Yay. Bye, guys. Thank you for joining us on
Bye.
Tangled Heart Strings.
See you guys.